Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time it is you're joining me for this video. Thanks once again for clicking on the PenBoyRoy Fountain Pen Review channel. The subject of today's video is going to be the Karas Pen Company Ink version 2 fountain pen. Before I get started, let me give a shout out to Pen Chalet for sponsoring this channel. Please check out the link below and check out penchalet.com for your fountain pen needs. Be sure to use coupon code GOODWORDS at checkout for an extra savings on the Pen Chalet website. Now, I don't make any money off of your purchases, but using the coupon code does help me out in that it shows Ron, the owner over at Pen Chalet, that the money he spends on sponsoring this channel is being put to good use. Lastly, don't forget to check out the PenBoyRoy Pentertainment Podcast, where Tom, the odd oink, and I have weekly discussions on the fountain pen hobby, and as well as have other fountain pen freaks on the show to join us in talking about the hobby. Just be forewarned, it's not for children. You have been warned. The Karas Pen Company was established in the year 2008 by a dude named Bill Karas under the name Karas Kustoms. It was at this time that the brand was really just a one-man machine shop. A couple of years later, the Karas Custom brand expanded their production into making iPhone accessories. It wasn't until the year 2011 that the Karas Customs brand decided to make pens. Unfortunately, they only made ballpoint pens. These ballpoint pens were made from aluminum, brass, and copper, and was funded through a Kickstarter program. Over the years to come, the Karas Customs brand was seeing a good amount of success and decided on two things to make the company way cooler. And those two things were, one, phase out the production of iPhone stuff, and two, in the year 2013, expanded the production of pens to include 4 different kinds of fountain pens, including our friend here, the ink fountain pen. Good call, guys. In addition to the expansion of making fountain pens, they even decided to start making desktop pen accessories. In the year 2015, the Karas Customs brand decided to make changes to the ink fountain pen to house a larger number 6 size nib, as well as to update the grip section. But they didn't stop there with the brand evolution. In the year 2016, realizing how cool and awesome pens were, the brand decided that they were going to change the name of their brand from Karas Customs to the Karas Pen Company. It was by this time that the sale of pens encompassed more than 70% of the brand's business. Shortly after, more evolutions were made to our friend here, the fountain pen ink. Enter the pen in question today, the Karas Pen Company Ink version 2. This bad boy of a fountain pen sports an improved capping system to include a silicone O-ring in the cap to more securely cap the pen when capped, a redesigned section to expose more of the nib, as well as flattened threads on the barrel to ensure maximum comfort for those writers who like to grip their pens higher on the pen. The Karas Pen Company Ink version 2 fountain pens are available in 3 materials, and those materials are brass, copper, and aluminum. That's all I have for the background information. Moving on to the neutral zone. Those elements about the pen that are neither good or bad, or can be good or bad, depending on you. The nib is a number 6 sized stainless steel nib made by Bock in Germany. The decorations and the brand logo on the nib may by some be described as an Art Deco inspired design, whereas I maintain that the designers are actually in fact closet gamers whom were inspired by the game BioShock. I can't prove it, but I think I'm right. Underneath the breather hole is an F to indicate that this is a fine, and under that is the brand name in its BioShock stylized fashion. The feed is the standard Bock single ink channel feed found in Bock nib units. The nib and feed are part of an unscrewable nib unit housing that screws into the tapering concave section that sports an angled flare to eliminate the fingers from sliding down to the nib. The section threads are unified with the section and screw into the inner threads of the barrel. The outer threads of the barrel that are used in capping, as shown here, are flattened for comfort of the writer in the event contact is made with the fingers and the threads. After the barrel threads is a rather large step that is the start of the rest of the barrel. The barrel is a slightly tapering cylinder that comes to an angled edge, end, and flat bottom. The cap is the same material as the rest of the pen. and has a cut-through clip design on the top where the finial would be. The clip is a steel tension fixed clip secured in place with 2 bolts screwed into the side of the finial Frankenstein style. The clip has a bulge at the end to secure the pen in pockets. The clip is rather stiff and does a good job holding itself in place. There is no center band on this pen. The pen was packaged in this cardboard box with the logo and branding on the top. Flip open that box and you have your pen resting comfortably in a foam cutout secured nicely in a sealed pen body bag. Also included in your shipment will be a dime bag with 2 ink cartridges, a polishing cloth with some sort of powder on it with which to polish your new pen, as well as a 2-sided information card that has a writing sample of your nib on one side and the nib information on the other. That's all I have for the neutral zone. Moving on to the good. Those elements about the pen that are good. I sure do like my Bach nibs when they write well. And I sure do hate them when the pen manufacturers tune and adjust the bejesus out of them to the point where they no longer write well and write poorly. Fortunately, in the case of the ink version 2 that I have here, I sure do love the way the pen writes. The Bach nib writes with a touch of bounce and springiness that makes the writing experience different than a Jowo nib. Now, I love my Jowo nibs, but I always appreciate writing experiences that are different from each other. When writing with the ink version 2, there is good ink flow that makes this pen on the wetter side, but at the same time, not a gusher. With this fine nib right out of the box, I never experienced anything in the way of hard starts or baby's bottom. The pen worked every time with no issues. The balance of the pen is, well, I like it. If you have the copper or brass versions of this pen, you have to know that these pens are heavier than Thor's hammer, and there is a significant amount of weight to the pen when writing. Having said that, I don't ever find the weight of the pen to detrimentally affect my writing experience. I actually enjoyed the weight and feel of the pen. This is with the pen unposted. As you should know, this pen is not postable. I often say that I don't usually like to post my pens, but I do like it when I have the option, and I don't like it when the choice is taken from me. But in the case of this pen, were there the option to post it, the pen would become so back-weighted, it would literally be like writing with the handle side of a hammer. The balance of the copper and brass pens are just fine unposted. And the same can be said for the significantly lighter aluminum versions of this pen. And by the way, although the section is metal, I found that due to the shape, it was comfortable and not slippery. Now let's talk about the build quality of the pen. Okay, first thing, this is a tank. I really think that this thing could last forever so long as you don't lose it. The quality and build is solid and feels like something that the ABC Warrior robot from the old Stallone movie Judge Dredd would use. All the machined parts are made with precision and feel solid and secure when screwed on. Talking about aesthetics, I really enjoy the unique look that this pen has, starting with the cut-through clip to the industrial, almost post-apocalyptical rugged design to the cap-to-barrel continuity. Being that these pens are made of raw copper and brass, they will both patina and tarnish over time, and I actually look forward to seeing how these pens will look in the future. Oh, let's also not forget that the copper and brass pens are antimicrobial. That's all I have for the good. Moving on to the bad. Let's talk coin. The ink version 2, like I said, comes in 3 materials on the Karas Pen Company website, and depending on the materials that you choose, the pricing can vary and at times be a tad on the confusing side. But for the pens shown in this review, starting with the brass pen sporting a brass barrel, brass section, and steel nib, you're looking at $155. If you're into the all-copper version with the copper barrel, copper section, and steel nib, you're looking at $185. And just in the event that you were curious, an all-aluminum version, irrespective of color options, will run you much less at $95. Now check out this craziness. For anyone that has never bought a pen on the Karas Pen Company website, when you go to the site, there is a newsletter pop-up that offers you a 15% discount for your first purchase. This drops the price and makes it even cheaper. That's all I have for the bad. Moving on to the ugly. Those elements about the pen that should not be, but are. Not much to talk about here in the ugly. If I wanted to say anything, I'd say that it's really irresponsible on part of the brand not to include a disclaimer with the copper version not to store the pen in your pants pocket during a thunderstorm due to the amount of copper and the risk of lightning striking your balls. I'm kidding. They shouldn't refer to electrocution and your balls in the same sentence, because you may or may not have balls. I'm kidding. Don't freak out. But in regard to the ugly, I got nothing. That's all I have for the ugly. It's high noon. Decision-making time. Should you or should you not pull the trigger on the Karas Pen Company Ink version 2 fountain pen? So it's like this. The copper version was graciously provided to me for review by the marketing guy at Karas Pen Company, Paul. Thanks, Paul. And I liked it so much that I decided that I needed one in brass. So I went to the site and I personally bought one in brass for myself. I will honestly say that had Paul sent me the brass ink version 2 instead of the copper, I would have bought the copper one as well, even though it runs $30 more. I personally think that these pens are awesome and they are very well made. They were certainly made to last a lifetime or two. And in the event of a zombie apocalypse, these pens will no doubt outlast even your fastest buddy, and definitely your slowest buddy. So pull the trigger on the Karas Pen Company Ink version 2 fountain pen. It's an easy call for people who like light pens with the aluminum options, as well as people who like heavy pens with the copper and brass versions. I personally prefer the brass version because it doesn't change colors as quickly as the copper, although I do like that the copper version is a touch heavier than the brass version, but not by much. But on the flip side, I can see how this is not a pen for someone who likes heavy pens, but doesn't like to deal with the patina and changing of colors at all. So there you have it. That was my review of the Karas Pen Company Ink version 2 fountain pen. I hope you found it helpful. Thanks again for watching. Love you guys. Be well, be safe.